Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Talks with Santosh. And today we have a really special guest, Debbie. So we were actually planning this interview from a long time. Debbie reached out to me. I think it was Jan or Feb. I don't remember exactly, but yes, we wanted to do it. And then Debbie finally joined BitDev, and she said, "Let's do it this time, and we will talk about Bit." So I was like, "Yes, let's do it." And now here we are. And just to introduce Debbie, she is head developer advocate at Bit, and she's also a GDE. She's a GitHub star. She's an MVP. She's an MT, and whatnot. I mean, she's everything. She's awesome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the
Hi,
show, Debbie.
everyone. Thanks, Santosh. Great to be here. We finally made it. We finally got it sorted.
Actually. Yeah. So today we are going to discuss about Bit. In case you are not aware of this platform, Debbie is going to introduce us and what are the different features and what about the framework support. So all those things which we are going to talk today. So Debbie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Let's do it. Okay, so what is Bit? It's a really difficult question, actually, right? Because Bit does so much. Bit is the answer to all your problems as a developer, right? That's the way I like to look at it. Not all your problems, but most of them. So if you're working, like, especially on a large team where you're working with other people, you're sharing code, sharing features, sharing components across multiple repos, multiple teams, then Bit is going to help you because you're able to do that easily. So you can share UI components, you can share hooks, you can share backend code, you can share serverless functions, etc. Right? The great thing about it is that you can share the code. So say me and you are working on the same project. We can share a React hook, right? Then you're going to use that hook in your project. I'm going to use it in mine. Then imagine, for example, I don't know, I go on holiday or something, I'm not around, and there's something wrong with that hook. It's not working because my React skills are just not that good. So I made a mistake, right? You can import that into your VS Code, right? You don't have to go to my repo, download, clone. You can actually import the component into your VS Code. So now it's sitting there. You can modify that. Now, obviously, we have permissions because we're working on the same team, right? And the same company. Then you modify that, you make that fix, and then you export it, right? So when you export that, you're exporting a new version with a new fix, and that version can then be installed. When I come back from my holidays, then I can install, I've got that new version. So you're not like held back, right? So the cool thing, and then obviously in your VS Code, right? You don't want my hook in there in your code base, right? So you just eject it, you get it out of there, right?
Okay.
That's kind of powerful. It's kind of so cool. So there's so many things you can do in Bit, but basically being able to collaborate with other people on teams, you're able to see the code, like your whole library of components are now live. You can see them. You can see that they're tested. You can see the compositions, what it would look like with different themes, different look and feel, different props, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's so cool.
So it sounds like a mixture of like having an artifactory plus having your storybook, everything at a single place, something like that.
Yeah, like it does so much. So it's not just like Storybook is great. Now you could use Storybook and Bit together, right? So you could use it with Storybook to have extra kind of, maybe you already have your components already done with stories. So you could just use that as well. But yeah, you can just do so much. But basically being able to collaborate with other people is the key. And that's something that we're not doing very well, right? Because you otherwise have to do an NPM package, or you like, there's other ways of doing it, right? But it's not as easy. Or you've got to do like, we one big repo, right? And then everything's in that repo, and it's like a nightmare to like, basically publish it and make a pull request, and then there's merge conflicts, and you don't own your own thing, right? And now, like with Bit, you can own your feature, you can own your whatever it is that you're working on that feature. Maybe it's a shopping cart feature. You can own that, and you can push that without having to rely on the whole team to push everything else at the same time, right?
That's nice. Okay. We just spoke about Bit and what are the different advantages it gives us. So it actually points to my second question, which we have. What about updating the dependencies? I'm sure if you are going to create a hook or you are going to create some of the components, you may have to upgrade it in future. So what about those? How those needs to be done?
Yeah. So basically, like you just modify that component and then you would tag it, which is creating a new version. And you could create it like a patch one or, whatever version, the usual type of way. You'd create a version, you put a message in there, a commit message, so someone is going to know what changed in that version. And then you just like export it, right? So once it gets exported, it's now in the bit.dev cloud, for example, or if you're hosting it yourself, it's wherever it is, and then it can be seen. And the thing is, in like bit.dev, you can go to the different versions and you could see version 1, you can click on version 2 or version 0.01 or whatever the version is, and you can actually see the tests of that version, the docs of that version, you can see the compositions of that, so you can see everything about what different versions are. So maybe you want to install an older version because for whatever reason your application needs that older version, then you can, right? You're not stuck to only the new version.
Yeah, that's cool. So we just need to actually create a new, it keeps track of all the older version which are available. So you can actually go ahead and use any version you like, and based on your project. So probably if you're running some older version, so you can just pick the older version from the list and you don't have to do anything else.
Exactly. Like maybe I changed the color of something, you didn't like it when don't want that for whatever reason. Because remember that like this can be done across enterprises, but it's also open source. So I might make something and share it, and then I might change it because it's for my personal use, and you're using my personal use components, and maybe you don't like my change. So you could take a previous version and go, no, I don't like what Debbie did. I want to stick with this version, right? And that's totally cool as well. So it's,
Oh, that's nice. That's a great feature. What about customization? So before we go ahead and talk about how to get started, what about the customization in case I want to customize some components? So what about those?
Yeah, customizing in what way? In customizing what exactly?
Probably I want to apply some different colors. I want to provide some different themes. What in that case?
So obviously the person who's designing the component should think about how the component can be used, what props should be passed to it with the API of the component, right? So designing the component properly from the start is key, right? And then obviously, like if you're using, say, React, then you would put a theme context on that. So then you can easily change the theme based on what's passed down to the children of the theme context, right? So how you set everything up is like everything can be extendable, everything can be modified depending on who built the component and how they built it to be modified, right?
Okay. That's nice. Okay, so next, let's move on to the most important question: how to get started with Bit. So
it's really easy, and I've literally built like the documentation. So you can go to bit.dev and then just like get started. You can go to the documentation, and what we've done is we've created some templates to get you started. Because Santosh, I believe you're an Angular developer, right? Yeah. So at the moment, we don't have Angular support, but it is coming. It's very, very soon. So at the moment, you're going to have to do some React components, and you don't really know React, probably like me, you're, jumping into framework. It's like, oh, syntax, everything's a little bit different. But we've created generators. So you can literally like generate a new component. So Bit create React component. You can go to learn, for example, and then there's a link there saying getting started. Yeah, on the top, getting started. There we go. Yeah, so you can go to here and you can just go Bit create React component. So first you got to install BVM. That will install Bit onto your computer, right? BVM is Bit version manager, like NVM, but BVM. Once you install that, that's going to take a few seconds, and then BVM install will install Bit. And then you just initialize a workspace. In the next step, see, like there's loads of steps. You can just like literally run through the code blocks without reading the docs, because that's how I built the docs. You can just go from code block because we don't read docs, do we, Santosh? We don't read docs. And then if you go to so Bit in Harmony, for example, will create a workspace for you. A workspace is like where you're going to work, where you're like your dev environment, right? And once that's done, then you just create a component. Right? If you're doing React, just make sure the React environment is set and install the React types. And then, creating components is the generator we created. And you just go Bit create React component. UI is like the folder or the namespace, UI button. So it will create, when I say it's going to create a button component, it's going to create a div with some text in it, and you're going to make it into a button, right? So it's just going to create the folder structure for it. It's going to give you the composition folder, the docs folder, the tests files, obviously it's going to write a test for you, but you need to go in there and make that test a better test, right? It's a dummy kind of test, right? Yeah, you need to do some work as a developer. And yeah, then like this creates it for you. You install, if it's React, the testing library so that the test will pass. And you can run bit show and you can see like what was created for you. And look at the files, just stop right there. And you can see like the files that were created, the button composition TSX, the button.docs MDX, which is like, for the documentation of your component, the button TSX file, the button spec file for the tests, and the index. It doesn't create the CSS file because you need to create that yourself based on if you're using Sass, or you could be using just CSS or whatever. So you can create that yourself. This generator actually can be extended. So you could even create your own generator and generate your own files based on how you want those files to be generated, right? Maybe you want to always generate a Sass file, right? And yeah, then that's it. Then you could just go like bit start, and then that gets it up and running. Then you can just create more components. And then once you're happy and you're done, you can literally just export your components to the cloud. We'll go bang up to bit.dev. You can then use NPM or Yarn in another project to install those components and just consume them like you would any type of NPM package, like, import from and like it's as simple as that.
Okay, so what about like so while installing, so we have to use BVM, right? So which is Bit Version Manager.
Yes.
So rather than NPM, we have to start using BVM.
Yeah, just to install it. Yeah, but only to install Bit. Then when you're installing your package in another project, right? So say you go to create React app, you create a React app, and you want to then install that component. Then you can use NPM in that external project. But in a Bit project, you would use Bit to install testing library because you're in Bit, right?
Okay. Yep. Got it. Great. So okay. So this is actually leads to my next question, which I have. What is this Harmony? I mean,
what is Harmony?
So
yeah, because like as developers, we want to build in Harmony, right? So that's the name given to the new version. So Bit has been around for quite some time. Many people have probably been using Bit for many years. The old version had Angular support, or has Angular support, Vue support, React support, etc. The new version is Harmony, and it's a much improved. Like it's incredible. The difference is incredible, and it's so much better. Obviously, like as things progress, things always get better, right? And Harmony is the name for the new version. It only has React, React Native, and Node support right now. But Angular is being worked on as we speak. It's very close to, we're very close to getting Angular out. And after Angular, then we'll move on to Vue. And it's still embedded because obviously it's not fully finished all the features. So we're constantly improving it and adding more and more and more things to it all the time.
Okay, that's great. So coming back to the another question which I had. So this testing, right? So is it like we have to just use Angular testing library, or we can go ahead and use any framework we like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So at the moment we have testing library in there, and I think it has Chai support, Jest support, right? But obviously, like for Angular, I don't know what Angular uses for testing, but whatever testing that would be, like Vue is Vue testing library, right? So we would have to add that in. And the same with Cypress, right? That's another thing on our list. We want to add Cypress support because Cypress is so cool. I love Cypress. So we just have to add that in. But remember, Bit is open source. So if anyone wanted to come along and try and do that for us and add that extension, like completely, like, make it pure and go ahead. Actually, we just added Tailwind CSS literally this week. I think I'm not sure if it's pushed to production yet, but we did it on a live stream and we got it working. So that's a new thing that's now integrated. Now we have Tailwind support. So we're constantly doing new things and adding more and more and more and more.
So okay, that's about testing. So next question is, of course, framework support. So we already spoke a little bit about it. So Angular is coming and Vue is coming. So next question is something related to the enterprises, right? So what I mean, this is open source, but of course there might be different plan for enterprises. Is it?
Yeah. So like an enterprise, for example, might not want to have all their components shared with the world. which is great if they do, right? Because everyone can use them, but they might want to have like specific things that are private. So an enterprise account, like having private repos and stuff, having more people on your team. So like I have a private account. I don't have anyone on my team in my private account. It's just me. So it's, it's free. So I don't need to like pay for anything. I can just use it. It's great. Everything's public. I can just use it. But if I wanted to add more people and have a team and add like, private functionality, then that's a paid like feature and stuff. And I don't really know how much the enterprise is, or I don't know much about pricing and stuff like that. But yeah, if you want to use it as a developer just on your own, it's free. And if you want to use it as a team with collaboration and stuff, then obviously, the usual.
Okay. So because I couldn't find any link related to pricing generally.
Yeah, it's on the main page. If you go to bit.dev, it's not in the docs. Oh, okay. It's not, because like the developer doesn't care about money, right? That's the job of the like architect and the manager. Let them go deal with all that. We just want to build and have fun, right?
Got it. Okay. So what about us building, right? So of course, if I am just doing some development on GitHub, I probably will be using GitHub Actions or Travis CI. What about Bit? What we have to use here for your CI/CD builds?
What do we have to use for which? For our?
For continuous integration and deployments. Probably you will be building all those components somewhere, right, on the remote. So what about those?
So everything we use GitHub as well. So everything's in the GitHub repo, and then like it uses the continuous integration and builds it. Now there's other things coming as well. Ripple is coming, which is another way of like, it's really cool, and it's going to be out next week, maybe the week after. And what this does is in your in your workspace, you're able to say you make a change to that React hook, right? Then it's going to it's going to propagate to whatever components are using that, and it's going to like update them for you, and you're going to be able to see which components have changed, like their dependencies, and then it's going to make those pull requests kind of like for you, right? So that they're going to be updated if you decide that they are okay to be updated, right? You might turn around and say, no, why did he do that? Oh my God, I'm not going to accept that, and don't want that in my repo or whatever. So yeah, that's Ripple, and that's coming very soon, which is really, really, really cool, because you can just see like almost like Netlify deploy previews, the way you can kind of see like what's being changed and stuff, so you can visually see things and then accept it, etc.
Okay, so because on this pricing tier, right? So I can see for free you have 120 minutes of CI free. So I was thinking that probably Bit has its own infrastructure, and we need to actually build there. But you're saying it we can put.
Absolutely no idea when it comes to that. I just know like so there could be, I don't know. I will ask on that, to be honest, because I just have everything through GitHub. I don't know how that works, to be honest.
Okay, probably because of course if GitHub Actions is already there, I mean I can just use it for like forever free, right? So if it's an open source.
Yeah, I would imagine, but I actually just have no idea, because I'm just using it through GitHub at the moment. But if there's, maybe people aren't. I don't know. I can't comment. It's a great question, though. I must check that out.
I don't know. I was actually looking at earlier, so I found this 120 CI minutes. So I thought like Bit might have its own infrastructure, and just like Netlify, right? So Netlify has its own infrastructure, and then you run the build on actually Netlify servers. You don't actually run it on GitHub, so they give you some
so like
build per month or something like that.
Yeah, like maybe it's for the components, as in like those being built and stuff. I don't know. Like it makes sense, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
because I haven't dealt with it. But I'll check that out.
So okay. So let's move to the next question. So I have there are a few questions related to. I think one question which I had was how to get. I mean, what in case I want to actually get involved and improve Bit? So you said it's open source, right? So anyone can actually go ahead and contribute. So how about that?
Yeah, just go to GitHub. I mean, the repo's there. Just go to GitHub, and like there's issues there. So just take an issue and bring it on. Or maybe you wanted to add something, like maybe you are, I don't know, really good at Cypress, for example, and you want to add that Cypress functionality so that we can integrate into Cypress. So go ahead and do it. And Or you can just build something like even simpler. So today, for example, I was extending Bit in adding a new tab to the workspace. So if you've ever used Bit, you've got a tab that has like tests, compositions, and you can see like the tests and the compositions of your component. And I was playing around when I added a custom one. So I extended Bit, added this, it's called an aspect. So I added an aspect and I created this tab, and inside I put instructions on like, you know, this is what you should do with your component. Before you export it, make sure you have this, make sure you have that. And then I exported that aspect as a component, and then I could install it into all my projects, into all my workspaces. So now I can use this anywhere I want to. And that's something like that's really, really cool. And then you could like make that public and share it with the world, and anyone else could then use that. So there's so many ways you can contribute to Bit, and like, yeah, Bit's very extendable. You can do so much with it. It's really, really cool.
So I can see there are like already few components which are available here on TeamBit, if I'm reading it correctly. So if I have to, let's say, if I have to actually go ahead and use any of these components, do I need to actually have a Bit account, or it's like it's open source and I just need the BVM and I can just go ahead and install it?
Yeah, so you
use it anyway.
You can actually use these components without even using like Bit. So Bit is for building like, you know, components and stuff, but maybe you have a Create React app and you just want to consume a component, and consuming a component is just installing it like you would do if you went to NPM, right? And you got a package, the same thing. So you don't even have to do Bit install to do that, because you would be doing NPM to install it. So yeah, just open up one of those components and I'll quickly show you. But it's which one? I don't know. Take whatever one of those.
It's base UI, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, some of them might be better documented than others. Like, but yeah, take the base, the button, right? Everyone likes a button. This is just a simple button. I think it just takes a couple of seconds. There you go. So this is the button. That's a documentation, right? So you can click here to see the loader. If you click on that, it should be live, right? It's a live playground there from React. So this is, you know, click me repeatedly, cannot click. There's a multi-trigger there. So you can see how the component is used in different kind of states, right? Sure. And then if you go to the compositions tab, you can actually, yeah, this is like the composition shows you like, right? It's just and then like the properties. So this is how you would use that. Active when loading, the description. So that's all kind of documented for you. And then at the very top of the tabs, you can, yeah, so you can get rid of that. Like, yeah. So there's, yeah, this one here is like the package name. You can just copy that, right? So that's exactly what you would use if you wanted to consume that component. And you just use npm or yarn, right? So you can just do npm install this, and then you can just like import button from @teambit base UI button, and you can just use that button, right? You don't need an account to do that. Now, if you want to create your own components, then you need to install Bit, because you want to be creating it to get the workspace to be able to like use it and stuff, right? So, and then the workspace would have like, you know, these tabs and stuff. Yeah, just kind of scroll up a bit more, and you could probably get rid of that, like the banner at the top, start sharing components. That's where you can click on if you want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah. So now that's hits, the banner was hiding, right? The overview. So now you got the compositions. So you click on the compositions, and this will show you like the basic buttons. So if you had more, so this would be like your stories and Storyblock, right? If you had a different types of buttons, you'd have them listed on the right side where it says basic button. You'd have themed button, primary button, secondary button, different types of buttons, right? And then if you click on the tests tab, there might be a test here, there might not, don't know. Yes, there's a test, woohoo, okay. So somebody did the test to this component, well done team. So yeah, it should render with children, it should trigger on click, it should show the loader when explicitly set, loading equals true, it should not show, etc., right? So you can see how well that is tested, right? Now, if you click on dependencies, you can see the component dependencies, what components. So this button component depends on the dots loader component, right? So the dots loader is those dots that were loading when you clicked it. So it uses that component, right? So it's on version 0.611. If we made a change to the dots loader component, then you'd have to, you know, update that component to use that new version, right? And then you have the code. See those code like bracket icons, the curly brackets? Yeah, so you can actually see the files. So what the code is created to use this. So you can click on the button. This explains all the code. And you're going to say, but I could just go and copy this and copy and take it and steal it. Well, of course you can. You can do what you want, right? You can install it or you can just copy the code. It's open source. So you can do whatever you want. It's fine. Take it, do what you want, modify it, make it your own, whatever. It's all yours. So yeah, you can create your own based on this button if you didn't want to use our button, right? And the test file is there. You can see the tests. You can do whatever you want, right? And that's the cool thing about it.
Oh,
and then you've
nice.
got the change. You've got the change log there. You asked about versions. If you click on that clock.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see all those versions and you can like switch a version and you'll see like the different code and you could probably check the different overview tab. It should show different. I think it shows it in the, in the clock, that kind of, it looks like a clock next to the code. Yeah. So this will show you all those different versions. And if you click on the test for the compositions for it, you'll be able to see like what was changed, right? Like what was the composition of this now? You might not notice a difference, but maybe it's green or blue in a different one or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, you can go through all those and check it out. But yeah. Nice. So much, I know. And click on the use button. That will tell you how to use it, right? So on the use one, the use box, the green at the very top.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Right. So this is to import it. Remember I told you about like importing it. So you're going to get it into your workspace. So you want to modify the code and then export it. That's importing it, right? And then installing it is install it with a package manager. So npm yarn or whatever, and then install it. And that's to consume it as a user who's just consuming it, who's not going to modify it. I just want to use this because I don't want to create my own, right?
Right. Okay. So for importing, import, I have to do it even though I just want to use it, or I can just install it from npm and start using it. Yeah.
So import is if you want the code in your actual VS Code, right? To modify and make a fix to it and then export a new version, right? And installing is, I want to consume that component in my application like I would any kind of NPM package. I want to just consume it, install it, use it, end of story.
Got it. So as a let's say, as an open source developer, what I can do is I can just, let's say, import something and probably modify and create some new version and export it on probably my my version, my package. And then I can ask people to actually go ahead and install it.
Yeah, so, like you can make your own version of it and make it better and improve it. And or you could make an Angular one of this, right? And when we have Angular support, you could take that component and turn it into an Angular button, right? And then like, because we have a lot of React components here. When we get Angular support, we're not going to have a lot of Angular components. So we're going to need help in getting lots of Angular components up there. So yeah, this would be great.
Nice. So okay. So another question is like, this is team Bit, right? So I hope this is something from Bit team itself.
Correct.
But there might be some packages which can be probably from someone else over the internet. So someone else doing some open source using Bit. Where are those?
So if you remove like in the navigation bar, you've got team bits. If you remove that, or I think it's just go to the home page. Probably if you click on the icon in the top corner.
This one?
Yeah, it should go to the home. Right now you're on bit.dev. So now you're getting components and oh no, that brings you to there, right? Sorry, yeah. If you're signed in, it doesn't. So go back to where we were and just remove, just search, right? Just search in there for, I don't know, button. Let's see what we get.
So let's say form elements button. No components found.
In this profile, right? So we need that. We need to search not in team. There we go, from the community, right? So once you're searching outside of Team Bit, you're going to get from the community. So you're going to get all these kind of like buttons now. Just make sure that they're on the right version because we have different versions of Bit, right? So we've got like, this is you can see the version changed, right? You can see that's the old version, right? That's not the Harmony version, right? Because the page you saw there was different and stuff. So if you want to use the Harmony buttons and components, then you should use the Harmony one.
Okay. So this is React Bootstrap. So they are available here. Okay. So I can just go ahead and install it.
Yep. And if you're using Angular, right, you'll be able to find the Angular stuff here, but it's the legacy version. So it's it's kind of worth waiting for the new stuff because you're searching in this collection, right? That's why. Yeah.
Okay. I have to go back and then search for it again. Right. So here, I think.
Yeah, search for it there. It's and you can just search for the Angular stuff, right? So say you did want to use the old version of Bit and you wanted to use some Angular stuff, then you can use their Prime faces, buttons and stuff, and you can start playing around with it and using it. But the new version is going to have, like, it's going to be better and cooler. So yeah, but Angular support will be coming soon.
Okay, so I think these are Prime faces, right? So these are actually same components which are available on Prime NG, but they have actually exported it as a bit component and hosted it here as well. That's what they have done, probably.
Yeah, I'm imagining. I haven't really looked too much into the Angular stuff, but I'm imagining that's what Prime faces have done. Yeah.
Yeah. Because in React also we had React Bootstrap, right? So React Bootstrap is something which exists on NPM as well. So probably they might have exported and then imported here as a bit component, so you can use.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of looking at who contributed to it, who created this, and like basically then see. Gosh. So this is someone from our team. So our team created this. So it was created by us. So you can kind of always see who's contributed to it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's nice. So everything is actually available, and I can just go ahead and use it. That's great.
Yeah. And then, like I said, just, depending on which version you're using, just make sure you're using the new one. If you're doing React and React Native, if you wanted to use Vue and Angular right now, then you could still use the old legacy version or wait for the new one, whichever. But definitely with React, please use the new version because you're going to love it. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and give it a try if you love React. And even you don't, at least you can give it a try. So I have seen Debbie actually talking a lot about React. She has been doing live streams as well with Bit. So in case you want to catch the live stream, so go ahead and see her Twitter profile. I mean, you'll be able to find the link to Twitch. And she has been actually just 2 hours ago, I saw a notification that Debbie is doing a live stream, and she's now here. So I'm sure Debbie is pretty.
I jump from streams. I'm a stream jumper, right? I'm stream here, stream there. Yeah. I'm doing it. We're doing, actually, do you know what? We started doing a lot of live streaming with Bit internals, which is really cool, right? Because you said, how can people contribute, right? You need to understand the code. You need to look at the code. Well, the code is open source. And we live streamed how to get Tailwind CSS integration into Bit. And we live streamed how to do that, right? So if someone watches that, they could go, oh, wow, that's cool. And then maybe they learn from it. Maybe they don't learn from it. I don't know. But from that, you can see how we work, how we build things. So I'm constantly doing live streams on the internal code of how we're building things in Bit, because Bit is built with Bit. Everything in Bit is built as a component from Bit. Everything is imported from Bit itself. So it's really, really cool.
Great. So in case, so apart from documentation and your live stream, so what are the other resources which are available for learning about Bit?
Yeah, so besides the documentation, there are a YouTube channel we have, and I've started creating some videos there. So it's the Bit Dev YouTube channel, and I've started doing 1-minute videos, which, Santosh, as you know, a 1-minute video takes 5 hours to make, right? So it's but yes, they are 1-minute videos. I've got 5 of them up there on the YouTube channel. They're also embedded into the documentation. I've started to work on features that inside Bit, I'm creating onboarding docs inside the actual website, so that you don't have to go back to the documentation site, right? So that, you get Bit start going, you're now in the localhost 3000. You don't want to leave there and go and open somewhere else, right? So I wanted, I'm documenting things in there to make it better and make it a better user experience for developers. That's what I'm working on. We also have in the docs site, there's a community section, and you can click on that, and there's some podcasts. We'll put this one in there as well. There's some other podcast interviews, some live streams and stuff. So you can kind of check in there. And then we have a community Slack channel. So you can click the link at the top and join our Slack channel. We are very, very active in there. We have people constantly helping. If you have a question, and sometimes it's not even a question, it's I don't know how to do this. And then we go, oh, that's not documented. Let's document it. Or let's create a video on that so it's easier. And then I'm also releasing some components on a Learn Harmony on bit.dev. So you'll be able to go to Learn Harmony. And in there, you're going to have an example of a React hook, how to create a React hook and share it, how to create a simple React component, a theme context component, an MDX file, right? How to create markdown files so then you can use it in a Create React app and have a markdown content so that like you could have a marketing team that's creating content, sharing that content, right? That don't want to be in the developer's repo. They have their own repo of just markdown. They can then just export that as components, and then you can import them into your website or into whatever you're using it and use it in different places if you want. And yeah, I've created some examples of that as well. So there's loads, loads of ways.
I'm really getting excited for the Angular version because the feature you have said, right? I mean, if those features are available in Angular version, that will be really great.
Yeah, we have, I think you know Olivier, who's from the previous Angular core team, and he's the one building it. So like he's making amazing progress and he knows what he's doing. He's doing great. So it's very, very close. I mean, it's like what's going to take time is adding all the documentation and adding all that stuff. And you know, that takes time, but we'll be getting Angular out the door very, very soon. No pressure, Olivier.
Okay. Oliver is great. I mean, I have worked with him for a few months. I mean, as we work together as a consultant, so
yeah, he's cool.
Yeah. So let's. I think we don't have any questions so far. So I think we are done. So let's move on to our next question. So, is there anything you want to promote on the channel?
I guess, I mean, the most I can promote is Bit, right? In the sense of, I do encourage people to use it. And I do want you to think about think about building in components and think about like components first, like how you're going to build. Like I always build the wrong way, right? Personally, me, I've been building the wrong way for many years because I build just like thinking on one end product and I build for that and then it's done. And then I go to extend it and use it. And then I can't because like I never thought about, the fact that component could be and should be used somewhere else. But don't over engineer things either, right? So think about things correctly. Think about the props that you need to pass down to that component. Think about theming, create theme context so you can, do dark mode and light mode very easily, for example. And then start sharing the components on the cloud and start consuming them into different applications to really get a feel for how Bit works. Bit is like what they said there. Bit is magical. It's incredible. It does a hell of a lot of things for you. And the more I'm working there, the more I'm learning, the more I'm thinking, wow, I can do this. Like the fact that you can extend Bit to do things like I just said, create another tab there on that workspace so that developers can go and get like maybe company documentation of like how you should be doing these standards, adding that in there so that they don't have to go to find something somewhere else. Sharing markdown files and markdown components, they can write markdown content, integrate it into the workspace so only those in that company get this tab and get this, this documentation specifically for them. Like it's all possible and it's really easy. I built the tabs, adding the tabs, like 4 lines of code. And I was like, oh my God, is that it? Because we built generators to generate it for you so that you don't have to do all the hard work, right? So yeah, it's really good fun.
Yeah. So apart from that, just go ahead and follow Debbie on her YouTube channel as well as Twitch. She has been doing some amazing content, so don't miss that. So go ahead and subscribe to those. And is there anything else, Debbie, you want to tell us?
I would just say start being open source, building components and sharing them and share them with us and help us extend Bit as well. If you want, create cool things and, share it as well. Create blog posts for us as well. Like I'm advocating for Bit, right? But that doesn't mean I'm the only one. So if you find Bit useful, if you've used it and you've written a blog post on it or you go and write a talk on it, and go and talk about it, help us advocate for it because it is absolutely amazing. And I think it's amazing, not just because I'm paid to say that, right? But seriously, since I've been here at Bit just over 2 months now, and the amount of stuff that I'm doing and seeing, and the companies and enterprises that we're helping to build a better team collaboration, that's where I kind of say, wow, this is like helping so many people. And I love when a product helps developers, helps people to do a better and easier job. And I think that's what we need as developers. We need our lives to be easier so we can build better and faster. And, we have a lot of pressure to get things out the door, right? So we want to be able to do things, not repeat our code, share our code, collaborate with others. We're all working remote. We're all working in different places. So it's collaboration has changed, right? It's all remote. It's all different. Being able to have teams, like, doesn't matter where your team is, you're able to collaborate on code, you're able to share it, you're able to visualize it, see it, export it, use it. So it's brilliant just to see it help other people in other companies. So I just want other people to see that and use that. And yeah, let me know if you find Bit useful. If there's any features missing, let us know and we'll build them into it. We'll help you create it, build it, or we'll build it ourselves. So do keep in touch with us on everything and just have fun sharing code, and sharing's caring, right?
Yeah, sure. So apart from, let's say, in case someone has question, where they can reach out to you, Stubby?
Yeah, so I live on Twitter. It's where I sleep. Seriously, it's like Twitter. But no, I would, like, for Bit related questions, I would join our Slack channel, because sometimes I don't have the answer to everything, right? Because there's a lot of technical stuff going on. But somebody in there will, if I don't find the answer, I will ask someone else. Like that question you asked on the bills minutes, right? I don't know that because I don't deal with it, because I work for Bit, so I never have to deal with money and things like that, right? But that's the kind of question you can just jump in. You can ask for, like, a session with one of our architects and stuff, and you can get them on board and have them, like, show your company, show your team what it's like. We can do an onboarding demo session. We can show you how it works. We can answer all your questions, any doubts you have from a company perspective, etc. All that's available. So we do a lot of work with customers and, like, helping them understand the benefits, and also if it's a right fit, right? And, like, seeing, like, what are the problem you're trying to solve, right? If you're trying to solve this, then this is the best bet. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's another solution. I don't know, but we will find that out for you and make sure that Bit is the right fit for you. So just reach out to us.
So that's it, Debbie. Thanks a lot for joining us, and it was really interesting to know about Bit, and I'm looking forward to the Angular version, as I said. So yeah.
Yes, it's going to be fun. And yeah, I think actually on this.media, I have a workshop coming up very soon, and very soon it could be even next week, because I don't even know what date it is this week. But yeah, if anyone wants to, like, follow along, it's a free workshop. Follow me on Twitter to get that information, or ask me and I'll post it. And you can actually do a 1 hour online free workshop on learning Bit if you want it, and then you can really test it out.
That's great. So we are done for the day, and thanks a lot everyone for joining us, and of course thanks a lot to Debbie for actually the great conversation which we had. And apart from this, of course, in India the situation is like worse. So please take care. Please help someone if you can, and be safe. So that's it for the day. And next week we are going to have another session, and I'm sure Debbie is going to love it because it's on Gatsby. And Siddharth is actually Siddharth Chatterjee from Gatsby team is actually going to talk about Gatsby, because of course it's a React-based framework, right? And Debbie is into React nowadays, so
yes, and you can use Bit with Gatsby, right? So you can use your Bit. When we worked with the Gatsby team, we had Sid creating a component there on Bit and using it in a Gatsby app. So yeah, like, very ties in, very great. Well done, Santosh.
So yeah, so see you all next week with Siddharth, and we will be talking about Gatsby. So
Cool.
Bye everyone, and see you next week.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Santosh. Bye.
Bye.